Shalom, 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 everyone. I want to welcome you to our show for the night. As you see, I am running behind and having technical difficulties. I'm tired of these technical difficulties. I gotta get this thing straight. All right, hopefully the microphone sounds better. I got tired of that static that was in the microphone from the last time. So I kind of did some things to, what is you doing? Did some things to kind of go against that. Didn't like the things that was happening with the microphone. So I said I need to update that. Try that a nice intro, but my files just was not working the way I wanted them to. So I was like, man, this is crazy. I said, man, well, I'm like 15 minutes behind, so just bump it. Oh man, just bump it. Anyway, we got a good thing that we're going to go through tonight. It's a real strong issue that I wanted to deal with. Just trying to bring this thing up so that you all can see it. We can get an idea of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, this week has been crazy. I don't know what's going on this week. But nonetheless, as you can see from our title thing, we're going to be dealing with racism in Judaism. This is a topic that many kind of overlook for certain reasons, probably because of things that you've seen happen with people in the past when they spoke on stuff like this. But I found a peculiar interview that sparked my interest in talking about this. So with that interview, I was like, wow, this is something that, you know, we can really deal with, we can really talk about and get a handle on. And I'm just going to jump right into it instead of going through my long rhetoric like I normally would do. All right, so for those of y'all who are just tuning in and just figuring out about this, I guess you want to call it a podcast. I guess I could call it that. Just trying to get it to that status. Peculiar how we got here. Started off in this way because of stuff that was happening around. Just different things that was happening. I began to speak out on those things. I'm like, so that's like my take on things. So I said, okay, my take. Of course, my name is Rosh Ya'acob. And want to just go ahead and get into this. Now, I've seen some things on some different places that I post the advertisement on where at least one gentleman said something crazy that didn't make any kind of sense. I think he just didn't like the fact that I was about to expose the racism, so he just said something crazy that didn't make any kind of sense. And I just was like, it has nothing to do with what this is about. Like, how you even get that? I was like, what? And then somebody came along and liked it. It probably was him. You know, some people say something and then they like it, sort of look like somebody else agree with them. So I said, he said that, and then somebody liked it, and I was like, what are you talking about? That has nothing to do with what this is going to deal with. I don't know. He's talking about missionary work and Christian missionary work, and I'm like, missionary work? What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with Christian missionary work, and I'm sure enough by no definition I'm a Christian. So It just confused me. I just was like, okay, what in the world is he talking about? But anyway, if he happens to tune in, this is for him. And for all other people. All right, so I found this interview and I kind of put this stuff together to build on off of this interview. I had a lot of stuff made up and it's probably going to work in a little bit, but all of a sudden, just now, it decided it wasn't going to work, which really
So what was it hard as converts?
which really irritated me. But nevertheless, we're going to jump right into it, right? So here we are. For those of y'all who don't know, this brother right here is called Nissim Black, and he is a popular West African Jew who converted to Judaism. So he was already born a West African Jew, but then he converted to Judaism because he felt the call of the Torah, and it called him back, and he came back the best way that he knew how. That's what happened with a lot of our brothers and sisters. They have this love for the Torah, and that's what sparked me to do this tonight. Because I was talking about this love we have for the Torah, but we can get caught up in different situations and even try to make excuses for our plights and the stuff that we go through just because of our love for the Torah. And if you look at this interview, I will tell you to look at this interview. This is the House of Lev. That's brother LaDerryl and sister Danielle, husband and wife, do an awesome job. Being though they deal with conversion and all that stuff a lot, still nice to see a Hebraic couple together, doing this together. Sometimes, for those of you brothers out there who understand and know, sometimes you can be in this walk by yourself. Even for some of the sisters, sometimes you can be in this walk by yourself, and to see two people in the walk together, it really drew me to them, and I was like, wow, I like this. I might don't agree with everything that they say, which I don't, but I really love seeing, a brother and a sister together. It came back to the Torah and striving to do what they're supposed to do, even if I don't fully believe in their rhetoric. And the same with Brother Nissim. I don't fully agree with his rhetoric as well, but a lot of the stuff that he's talking about, I do agree with. All right. But this is not here about me basically saying whether they're right or wrong. That's not what this video is about. It's not about me trying to say, well, they shouldn't have converted. And some people who may look at this might say, man, they shouldn't have converted. And that's what they get, right? But no, I feel as though there's a love, right? When you really have that love for the Torah, when you really striving to come and walk before the Almighty, it's just certain things that you deal with and you go through. And we can just see this in this interview where this brother is going to break character for what many of you may have been used to seeing him do. And he's really going to have a serious moment where he's going to talk about some stuff that happened with his children. And it all started off in the interview when he asked him about being a convert. And I want you to see something that happens when he asks him about being a convert. And we want to see exactly what Nissim says.
So what was it hard as converts transitioning to life in Eretz Israel? And if so, what were some of those challenges you faced and how did you handle them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just because we're converts, like we encountered things because we didn't look like everybody else, primarily.
All right, so the first thing he points out is that it's not just because we was converts, because there's a lot of people that convert, right? It's converts, no, it's not because of that. It's because we didn't look like everyone else. So by us not looking like everyone else, This is what caused the problem, right? If we would have looked like everyone else, it wouldn't have been an issue. It just would have been, okay, you guys are converts. But the problem is they didn't look like everyone else. What do you think he means by that? Now, let's not play games. What do you think he means by we didn't look like everyone else? How does everyone else look? How does he look? So the idea was being a convert and more so being black. I can say for myself in many circles that I've been in, when I talk to people and I talked to them and I told them that I was Jewish, the first thing that they pointed out was this idea that, oh my goodness, you're Jewish and you're black? I never knew. I never knew such a thing could be. And I'm like, well, why you never knew such a thing could be? Hey, you was born this way? Yes. And then they always used to hit me with this thing about Sammy Davis Jr. And I'd be like, oh. Right? But it was things that happened where you'll come into a shul and the person will look at you and say, when did you convert? And then your mind will instantly flash to the verse in the Torah when it says, do not remind a convert of the day of his conversion. It says that in the Torah. Right? Do not remind a convert of the day of his conversion. So even if I was a convert, which I'm not, let's make that clear, I'm not a convert. But if I was a convert, just them saying that alone is outside of Torah. You're not supposed to do that. If I come in and you see me in a shul and I'm dressed the way I should be dressed, wearing my tallit, if I have tefillin on, if you see me davening or praying and so forth, then automatically you should say, okay, you know, this brother is with us, right? But you should not walk up to me after all of that and say, hey, when did you convert? Because it feels disrespectful. Especially if you stand there with Europeans who actually did convert and they walk past them to you. You, who then in terms of his me said, I didn't convert. I was born this. I was born Hebrew. I was born Jewish. Right? But then you standing beside somebody that you know is a convert that's white, and they never ask him anything about a conversion. Nothing. Kind of makes you feel some kind of way, right? So when he says that, that's what he's speaking about. He's saying, hold on, it's more than just conversion. It's about being black. That's the first thing people see. I know you want to try to live in a world like Dr. King said, where people don't look at you based off of that stuff, but let's be real. Unless you don't have eyes, you see. Now it's all in what you want to do. That's one thing I did like about the yeshiva that I went to. No one walked up to me in that yeshiva and ever said, when did you convert? Now, behind my back, I don't know what he was talking about, right? But in my face, no one ever said that. No one ever came to me and said, when did you convert? No one ever questioned me, prove this, prove that. And all, I never had that, no, not from the staff, not from any of my classmates, never had that way. But it is some issues that I did have that I might bring up in this conversation as we go on. But I just want to point out that first of what he's saying about the first thing people do is look at how you look. You know, so it's not just about converse. They just look and say, hey, you look different. Now he's going to be really politically correct because we got to realize this brother is in Eretz Israel. He lives there. He has a lot to lose. He has family there, his children. So he's going to be politically correct in all that he's saying. So we're going to kind of dissect what he's saying and really get into what he's saying and what he's not saying. So let's go a little further.
the children. It was tough to get them in schools at one time. It was a season. That was not it.
So let me go back a little bit.
We countered things because we didn't look like everybody else.
There you go.
Primarily the children. It was tough to get them in schools at one
children.
time. It was a season. That was not and has not been the sum up of my journey of being an heir to Israel or being Jewish. Like, it's a very small, minute. It's just it makes it's juicy. So people, embellish it and make it bigger than it was. But we definitely did have those challenges. Neighborhood wise, we lived in Mainstream for 2 years. That was also very difficult. So you have those challenges also too from a cultural perspective. I wasn't like I grew up black. I grew up in the hood.
All right, so now what you'll notice is throughout this is our brother Nissim is going to constantly be making excuses for the environment, right? And he's going to take it upon himself to talk about what he has to do to change, how he has to change his outlook of the way he looks at things. He's never really going to blame the people that's there and what they are doing. I want you to pay particular attention to that. So here we have him saying he grew up in the hood, he wasn't from there, and there was kind of different, so he had to adjust himself to there. But yet he already said from off the break, when they seen him, they didn't see him in the same light as they may have seen other converts or even other people that they believe was Jewish, right? They looked at him as this black guy.
So I have a hood mentality, and slowly as things are shifting, like, somebody to bump into you and walk up into you and crowd you in, and for them to like not be because they got a problem with you, that was something very you had to adjust to. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
can
When
get
nobody
that.
stands in lines, and what I'm saying, because the culture is so different. Since somebody bump you in the streets, that means like, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but he even got that here in America. That's just like New York. Now, I never been to New York. Well, I rode through New York, but I never actually stopped in New York. Now, just being in New York, from what I heard and from what I see, sometimes the streets so busy you can't help but bump into each other. Gonna be so many people, you're gonna bump into each other. And if you're not used to that, it is gonna make you feel weird. So it's not just that culture over there that has that kind of mentality of you just bumping and this, that, and the other. Even when I moved down in Virginia for a while and I lived down there, I was just like, the culture was so different because where I came from, you didn't just walk up and you was all like, hey and hi and saying hi to everybody. And if we didn't know you, we ain't know you. And we looked at you a certain way to let you know, man, I don't know you. But down there, when I was down in Virginia, it was just strangers walking up saying hi. And it took me aback because I had to look and I said, okay, I'm not, in Maryland no more, right? They do things different down here. This isn't Baltimore anymore. So I started looking at it and saying, Because at first I'm like, I don't know you, I'm not speaking to you, but they would just speak to you. Everybody was so friendly, and this was like, this is weird, right? Cause I'm from, we called it back during my day Harm City, and here you are somewhere else, and people are friendly and nice. So yeah, sometimes cultural differences are something to get used to, but then there's also certain things that happens because of how people are, and it has nothing to do with this cultural influence thing that he's trying to build up around. But this is something he's trying to build up around because again, he's trying to make it easy.
Over here, if you do that, they're like what's wrong with you? So you're dealing with a different world culturally. It's definitely a different place. And so just really just adjusting to how people are, you know. For instance, people don't stand in lines. I heard somebody one time I interviewed actually, a lady who told me that, you know, Jews don't stand in lines because of the Holocaust and the gas chamber. So it's a certain Indian to not stand in the line. And and in Israel they got it bad. So you know what I mean. You know, if you lose your spot, if you know, you're always standing like on guard that nobody cuts you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's sort of like you gotta. It's a different mentality. You know what I'm saying? To where, you know, and if you call it out, then something's wrong with you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting culture thing, but things you got to get used to. You know.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you know, we wanted to just kind of hear your perspective because at some point, you know, we do want to we want to make a aliyah.
Yeah.
You know, at some
Don't think, just jump. Don't think. Don't think.
yeah.
Thinking will get you in trouble. Trust
Yeah.
me. No, you definitely got to come. I mean, like I'm saying, those things are very challenging. Another thing you have to adjust to um, here is when you do encounter things. So that was one of the biggest things for
Now,
me is that, you know, in,
now we see him struggling right now, right? Because he really wants to talk because he knows they have children like he has children. And he wants to prepare them so if they do make Aliyah or ascend back to the land to live, if they will allow them to, because some converts they turn away. That's just a fact. You can look it up. It happens. So depending on your conversion and who converted you, they will send you back or won't allow you. They let you visit, but you can't stay. And then there's a certain amount of black people or even African Jews that they will allow in the land and not allow in the land. And we might can get and talk about that later. But it's sort of like he's trying to prepare them because he knows that, hey, you guys got a family, and I want to prepare you for this because I don't want you to come over here and you think is uh, all daisies and nice, beautiful flowers, and then you find out the hard way that it's not. And then y'all be looking at me like, Nassim, I thought you said everything was cool, brother. So I gotta prepare you for this and let you know that if you got children, there's gonna be some things that your children gonna go through. And that's the main bulk of where we wanna get at, because sometimes adults, because you so in love with Torah and you just want to be around the people that you feel are the people of the Torah, not understanding that you are the people of the Torah. So you just looking at these people like they are the people of the Torah, and you want to be around them so bad that you kind of overlook certain things that may be happening, and you kind of say, well, you know what, I'm gonna kind of overlook that, and I'm not gonna really look into that. And this may be a case of that, so he's gonna try to prepare them.
any form of discrimination is wrong, no
Discrimination.
matter for any. Maybe there are some places where you could use discrimination in the right way. I don't know where they are, but definitely when it comes to certain things like creed, you know, skin color, different things like that, it's very difficult to say. But there are differences. Like for instance, here in Israel, when we encounter certain things,
All right, so he's talking, saying it might be some discrimination based off your skin color. He's making that clear because he knows that we know, especially people like myself know, who've talked to people who went over there and dealt with certain things. What happens? He knows that sometimes you're called cushy, which is a derogative term, which is the state of Israel's way of saying the N-word. He knows and understands this. So he's trying to prepare them, saying, hey, look at your skin color a little bit, you know, and I'm going to try to clarify this. So this is like one of the, that's why I isolated this out of the whole interview, because I felt like this is one of the serious moments within this interview where it wasn't just about, you know, a PR type thing, but it was more like, okay, we want to talk serious for a moment. I'm going to divulge some deep things to you. I'm going to go back a little bit.
definitely when it comes to certain things like creed, skin color, different things like that, it's very difficult to say, but there are differences. Like for instance, here in Israel, when we encounter certain things, and my kids encounter certain things, there's no, it doesn't come with a stereotype, right? Um,
Now, this is, I love how this brother did this because I was like, wow, because this doesn't make a difference whether it comes from with a stereotype or not. Now, what he means by stereotype, as we want to see as it goes deeper, is he's saying, they got a certain stereotype about you, saying, oh, you black, and because of slavery, oh, you black, and you this way or that way based off of knowing about slavery. And I've listened to that as he talked about that, and he's saying, I'm like, it doesn't matter whether they got a stereotype or understanding of slavery and how they look at slavery. The whole idea behind it is they are being discriminative towards you because of your color. That is racism. It doesn't matter why they're doing it. If they're being discriminative towards you because of your color, that's racism. There's no way to get around it. But he's going to try to get around it by explaining stereotypes and we're going to see. I'm going to rewind it back a little bit. We're going to see.
in the right way. I don't know where they are, but definitely when it comes to certain things like creed, skin color, different things like that, it's very difficult to say, but there are differences. Like for instance, here in Israel, when we encounter certain things, and my kids encounter certain things, there's no, it doesn't come with a stereotype, right? Um, if they weren't led into a particular school, or if they were called a bad name or something by a kid, it's literally because they just look different than them.
That's racism. When we're called different names like the N-word and stuff by people who don't have no clue about you, it's not based off a stereotype. It's based off of you look different. It's based off of I don't know you. That's what it's based off. It's not based off of a stereotype. Oh yeah, this stereotype, that stereotype. The basis behind it is your skin is a different color. You look different. So I'm going to treat you in a negative way. I'm going to call you cushy, which is the words he's talking about that they being called. He's trying to just go around it in such a way where he's trying to let them know, and he's trying to get them to understand that if they do come, they're going to encounter this and how to deal with it, because he had to learn how to deal with it, right? But this is like racism right in your face. It don't matter if they had a certain stereotype about you. And believe you me, they do. They do. They got a certain stereotype where they feel that you are a certain way. I'm in a group right now where all the brother did was just put a post up, and I'm going to show y'all that. The brother put a post up where all he did was talk about black accomplishments. And you had people from Ukraine, yes, Ukrainian Jews, and others who was on this post saying you blacks never did nothing, and you blacks ain't this, and you blacks ain't that. What are they basing that off of? That'd be some kind of stereotype, right? And I was like, wow, this post wasn't even saying anything about challenging them on this, that it just was a post where they had all the accomplishments. The brother J.A. Rogers wrote a book about the amazing facts about blacks, and all the brother did was just had something from that literature put up where everybody agrees that black people in America made all these things. And this guy bypassed the list and said, you blacks never created anything. And then I believe he said, until you was brought to America in slavery. That's when y'all started creating and doing stuff. But hey, it's not based off a stereotype, right? So, and I looked to see, let me see who this guy's name is. I'm going to show y'all the post so you don't think I'm just making this up, right? I looked to see what the guy's name was, and it was a Ukrainian name. I said, wow, It's a guy from the Ukraine. And he's on here talking crazy about us. Wow. Wow. I don't want to go there yet because I really want to get into what the brother's saying in this, and I don't want to have to make a part 2 and all that other stuff. So I'm trying to just bypass it. But if I do have time, I will go and bring that part out.
If they weren't led into a particular school, or if they were called a bad name, something by a kid, it's literally because they just look different than them.
That's what racism
People
is.
over here, generally in the neighborhoods that I lived in, they never even heard of African American slavery. They have no idea that it even ever existed. They don't know anything about black people in America. They don't know anything about the hood. They don't, you know what I'm saying? So they don't even have any stereotypes. It's just
All right, so he's saying because they don't have a knowledge of what happened to us over here in America, then it's not based from the same place. It is based from the same place. Even over here in America, it's based off of how you look. And trust you me, they have TVs. They say different movies where black people is depicted in a negative light or view. So when they see that, and that's why a lot of black people was upset back in the day for what they call the black exploitation films, because they felt like, oh, it's making us look bad. And for foreigners or people who never met a black person before ever in their life, they gonna base everything that they know off of a film that they saw, off of a music video. They gonna base everything off of this caricature of a black person and say, this is how you guys really are. So then when they run up to you, they'll say, hey, my man. And you looking like, hey, what's up? Right? Where did they get that, hey, my man, from if it's not from some kind of stereotypical view? Where they get that from? But again, he's making excuses to try to deal with the environment that he's now in because of his love for the Torah. And if you look at this interview in its entirety, you'll see that he just goes on and on about his love for the Torah, his love for the Almighty, and striving to be pleasing before the Almighty. He lays all that out. And so this is why he's going through this and putting his family through this, right? Let's hear some more.
just anybody different, they're getting it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting thing.
Now he says anybody different, they're getting it. But you got to go back to what he said first, because all the converse was different, right? But then he says you look different. So if anybody that's different going to get it, okay, yeah, you might talk different. You're going to get it. You talk different. We do that with each other. If you come from down south, you know, oh, you country. I had people from up north say that I sound country. And then I tell people further down south that they sound country or they sound different. And everybody makes fun of different people's accents and stuff like that because of areas you're from, right? And you got those slight differences, right? That's just what it is, right? But what he's speaking about is color, something different. Before I open my mouth, you see how I look. So you're not judging me based off I sound different, I dress different, because even if I'm dressing just like you, as you see this brother does, right? Him and the other brother, they both got the Ashkenazic dress with the white shirts and black jackets and the hats like Run DMC used to wear. This is what they do, right? And those hats cost a lot of money, by the way. And but even with you wearing all of that, they see that you are black and treat you accordingly. Because I'm quite sure if he's dressed the way he dressed, that he has his children dressed the same way that the children over there are dressed. So the whole thing with it is not so much what they're dressed, before they even say anything out their mouth, that people see how they look. he's gonna go into that. He's gonna go more into it.
That somehow you have to disconnect. If you're not plugged in, you see something, and because it's that minute, in order to shift and turn a person around, it's very simple. They don't have to be stuck with trying to get over the stereotype of what they think about your type of people. You understand what I'm saying?
Get it?
So because
Your
of that,
type of
a
people.
person can go from a foe to a friend very quickly over here in Israel. And I always say it's very where I come from in Seattle is very passive aggressive, meaning that it's passive first and people are aggressive. And Israel's very aggressive passive. You generally won't become best friends until first you've been cursed out by the person first. You know what I mean? So it's just a different culture of understanding of as you're building relationships, sort of where you stand and sort of how to maneuver here.
So he's trying to give them some good information, and you're gonna see they kind of like, this is not really what I wanted you to go here, because other blacks over here that's like us is gonna hear this, like myself, they're gonna say, see, I told you this was happening over there, right? So you see their faces kind of, well, not see, we ain't really want you to. Oh, why are we talking about this right now? Let's go back to talking about these books and all this good stuff about converting and being Israel. Let's not harp on the racism and stuff like that. But this is something that he feels as though, and I feel as though with them the Nissim wants to say it the way that I'm saying it, but he can't, right? But he wants to let it be known that, hey, this is something that happens, and this is how he dealt with it. And if you come over here, you might have to deal with it in the same way, right? Or it might be different for them. It all depends. We don't know if it's colorism. Maybe they see that they're a little lighter and might treat them different. You have no idea the depths of the racism, because that's even how it was over here. In the segregated South, right? They treated our people different according to our shades, which is why to this day we have colorism and treat each other different according to shades. It's what happens. It's a factor of white supremacy and racism, right? And that's what he's dealing with. And we can see how uncomfortable it is for them. If you could just look at their faces as he says certain things, it's like they trying to make themselves smile and act like, oh yeah, but in the back of their mind, they're like, dang, we didn't know that this was gonna go here, right? All right, so let's go a little further.
Wow, no, that's I feel like that had to take some time to get used to,
Oh, absolutely.
So let me go back. You mentioned, you and your wife were dealing with some things with, your children and, being in school. So how did you and your wife really like equip them? Because when you're a child, you don't really have that perspective and, to really be to understand really what's going on. So how did you and your wife really equip your kids,
All right, so now we move into the next stage, and I pushed this forward in the interview because they didn't just go right into this. They actually started talking about some other things as far as religious experience, and now the brother and sister kind of brought it back because they know he just said all of this stuff. And then we start talking about something else. But hey, we just were talking about this stuff. We got to clean that up to let people know, because some people are listening and saying, wow, so you're dealing with racism and you're just trying to just say, oh, because it's not stereotyped according to knowing about slavery and stuff in America, that it's kind of different. It's kind of a different racism, right? And discrimination. So you try and bring it back to that to say, okay, you said your kids had to deal with this, right? So we hear how you saying you dealt with it, but how do you get your kids to deal with this, right? How are you getting your kids to deal with this? So that's what you bring it back to. So now, Brother Nissim is going to break down how he got his children to deal with it.
That's a very good question, because that we also have to be sensitive to, because of where we come from. We're gonna think about it in a different way more than our kids would, because my wife's originally from the South. All her family's originally from the South. So you can imagine her looking at that, and even me looking at it, coming from really the Northwest, I'm going to look at it differently. Now, from our kids' perspective, Israel's really all they know. They haven't really grown up in the States. You know what I mean?
All right, so I'm about to put a clip in the midst of this part right here. And this clip is just dealing with, because he said Israel is all they know. They really didn't know anything else, right? And this clip I'm about to put in comes from this movie called Melody, 1963. And this clip kind of deals with that, what he's saying, right? Because in this movie, you had this woman who was trying to shelter her child from seeing racism and trying to paint the world as this bright place for a child because she didn't want her child to know about racism. And that's what many parents do, right? You don't want your child to grow up. You feel if I can get my child to grow up and not look at the world as this negative place and to kind of keep them bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, that it'll make a difference. And we see this here with this. I even know a brother who was raised like that in America, not in Israel, in America, that was raised like that. And when racism hit him, he didn't know how to deal with it. And a person actually took advantage of him. And he said he felt like it was wrong, but he just couldn't put his finger on what it was. And once he explained it to me, I said, dude, you got discriminated against. You know, and this was on a job where a guy made certain comments about him based off his skin color, and he kind of brushed it off because his parents never taught him to look for stuff like that, and they pointed out how stuff like that was wrong. And I feel like that's what we see happening here. And he's saying, okay, well, this is all my children know is over here, except for his oldest daughter. She know a little bit about America, but everything else she knows, you know, now is from over there. And he's like making this statement, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now, let's look at this and understand this. Discrimination is discrimination. You gotta point it out. You gotta let them know. And try to sugarcoat them and say, well, this is how we deal with this. And try to come up with a maneuver around it. And I think the clip I put in is about to come up right now.
None of my kids are.
Hi, Melody. Hi, Trisha. Call me Trish. I saw you sitting here all alone.
Now, for this clip right here, you're going to see a young white girl is going to meet Melody, and she's really wants to be our friend, right? From this clip, and you will see other ones came there who's been indoctrinated to not like Melody because she looks different. And they're even going to tell her that she don't belong there because she looks different. And we will see how Melody replies to that. And that's the same situation like with his children. Like they seeing different things. It's like, okay, how do I deal with this? You know, and you know, you have to have a way to equip your children to deal with certain things so that they don't get taken advantage of. And I believe only because in this movie, her grandfather was around to try to tell her, no, this is how it is. And you need to know this. And that she was able to stand up for herself. You know, it was a nice film.
What are you drawing? Nothing. I like to draw too, but I'm not very good at it. What do you like to draw? Well, I just got a new puppy and I named him Bubbles. That's a cute name. Pigs. He is really cute. I've been trying to draw him, but he won't still. So all of my pictures are really, really bad. You have to train Bubbles to be less bubbly and sit still for you. I know. Do you have a dog? No, but I'd really like one. Maybe you can come over one day and play with Bubbles and me, and help me get him to sit still. I'd really like that. We could make a puppet portrait of him together. We could call it Bubbles in Motion. I love it. Trish, what are you doing? What do you mean? exactly what I said. It's gotta be hard feeling like you don't belong here, because you're colored. Actually, I'm black, just like you're white. And I belong everywhere you do. Let's go. Trish, come on. I really hope you can come over one day and play.
All of my kids started school here except for my eldest. She was 7 when we moved here.
All right, so just that idea when he said that is all my kids ever know. Down south, that was all they ever knew. They didn't know anything, nothing about Africa. They know nothing about anything. All that stuff was stripped from us. All they knew was about being American. That's all they knew, right? They didn't know anything about anything else. All they knew was about being American. So to even put that in place, it was like, okay, yeah, they don't know about the racism stuff, like I said, because it's like with her mom, she tried to shelter her from it, but that didn't stop the racism from attacking their child. Their child still had to face those things. It didn't stop because, you know, you didn't tell them about it. I think that's really a bad thing when you just don't talk about it. You know, we got kids nowadays that don't even understand why the N-word is frowned upon and you shouldn't say it. Don't even understand, right? And they say, oh yeah, I know a little bit about slavery, but that's be about it, right? I mean, they don't understand. It's kids nowadays that don't even know who Martin Luther King Jr. is. Our kids don't even know what he did. Like, you try to reiterate to them, they be like, he did what? You know, maybe once they get in high school, maybe now, but from middle school, 6th grade, coming out of elementary, they don't even know who Martin Luther King Jr. is. We learned about him all my life, right? So it's kind of foreign and amazing to me that when I'm running to children and I say, you know who this is? And they like, no. They know who Martin Luther King Jr. was, they know who his wife was. I say, you know, Coretta Scott King is she the one who wouldn't get up on a bus? I said, oh my goodness gracious alive. Like, no. So yeah, that's the importance of history. You gotta learn history, because if you don't know history and you're not taught to deal with certain issues, when stuff happens, you're not going to know how to deal with it. You know, and that's what happens, because it's like a different world now, right? But anyway, let me get off my soapbox.
And even at 7 years old, she didn't really remember. She moved in the 2nd grade. She doesn't really remember
So
America.
what did I gotta do with dealing with racism?
But even so for them, they also, just like I was saying before, they also don't have anything in their head. They're treating me like this because they think that I'm like that. You know what I'm saying? For them, it's
Yeah, see, but that's the whole thing. They treat me like this because they think I'm like this. No, that's not how people should look at racism. They treating you like that because you look different. They treat you like that because they know you are different. You got a different skin color. It don't matter about how they think about you. You shouldn't say, well, they treat me like this because they think I'm this way or that way. No, they treat you that way because you look different. You don't look like them. That's why they treating you that way. We can't get to this mode. We trying to figure out why the racist is being racist. Just realize they being racist. Why do me, the victim, gotta try to understand why the racist is being racist? So I gotta stop and say, dang, why they being racist towards me? No, they being racist towards me. You know, and that's what the young brother said. He's like, I just didn't understand what was happening. I'm like, dude, he was doing it to you because you was black. Don't try to figure out why he did it. And did he think this way and that way? So now you gotta try to be the best you can be to show him that you ain't this way. That it don't matter how best you can be. I never forget, but Barack Obama became the president of the United States. President of the United States. Barack Obama became the president of the United States. And in the New York Times, and y'all can check this out, go Google it, look it up. or if I had time, I'll bring it up later. In the New York Times, they had a political cartoon with this monkey lying dead in the middle of the street with the police with a smoking gun saying, "I got him." And guess who the monkey was supposed to be? President Barack Obama. And I remember showing it when I did a speech once, and I showed that. And as I showed that in a speech, one of the people thought I made the cartoon. Said, "Why would you make a cartoon like that?" I said, no, I didn't make this cartoon. You got to listen to what I'm saying. This cartoon was made in the New York Times. He was like, "Really?" And it caught him off guard. He couldn't comprehend it. He thought I made it. I said, "I didn't make this. This is in the New York Times." So it's not about trying to understand why, and I gotta change what they think about me so I don't fit into a stereotype so they treat me right. No. Here you had this man who was the president of the United States of America, the most articulate president we ever had. And that's what everyone said, hands down. He said, that man could talk. Right? And they drew him as a dead monkey, shot by the police. I will never forget that picture. He's the only one who stood, and as he was doing his speech, his State of the Union address, had somebody yell out, "You lie!" They never yelled out at nobody ever. But they felt comfortable and free to do that because he was black. You had many presidents speak out on all kind of stuff that's happening. But when he spoke out on any issue, like, "Here you go." And then you got a president coming back saying, "I apologize for saying that." What did he do that? But it was expected of him because he was black. So he had to do that, right? Just trying to get along. Trying not to fit into a stereotype. Get out of here. What are you talking about? Oh my goodness. I still can't believe he said that. Don't fit into a stereotype.
Also skin deep. So because of that, they're also able to get over it a little bit faster, I feel.
I went in to sit down, to play with them.
All right, so now, this is another film that I put in. This is actually from a documentary about Ruby Ridges, right? And I put this in there right there because he was talking about how his kids was able to get over it. Get over the discrimination that you face it. Get over the racism that's in your face. Just get over it. We're not going to deal with it. We're not going to talk about it and say, "Hey, you guys need to change." Oh, you guys are. We just got to get over it. So his children got to suffer and endure this and just get over it. All right? You serious right now? So it just reminded me of Ruby Bridges, right? And what she endured being a child in a school, facing racism, having people look at her because she was black and treating her a certain way. And she was just like how he said his children was. She didn't understand why it was happening. She didn't know. And then this little boy is going to say something to her one day, and that's when it's going to click, and she's going to say, "Now I understand, now I know," right? And what's going to happen is, the idea is these kids that he's saying is doing this stuff that his children just got to get over, they getting it from their parents. Their parents are saying different stuff. There's people in the state of Israel, there's such racists that call themselves the Black Panthers. Of all things, they call themselves the Black Panthers. And they not saying they the Black Panthers like the Black Panthers that was in America that was fighting for black rights. No, they saying they the Black Panther that's saying these black people need to get out of our country. That's what's happening over there, right? It's happening. Let's be real. Let's stop hiding it and covering up. It's happening. And I will get the clip and show the clip at the very end so nobody can say, oh, he's making it up. That's not happening. It's nobody over there doing it. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So now I'm going to go into this part right here with Ruby. And Ruby's going to break down some things. And she's going to basically say how, as a child, she had that aha moment when she realized that it wasn't a child per se that was looking at her differently. Because as we seen in the clip with Melody, that one child didn't look at Melody different. She looked at like she a little girl just like me, and I want to play with her. But these other kids came along and kind of drew her with them. So now we want to see Ruby Bridges telling her accurate story about her, because that's what the movie Melody was supposed to be based off of her loosely. So now we see Ruby Bridges actually talking about what she actually lived through. This is the little girl who had 200 people outside the school she had to go to, 200 white people, and then it grew and doubled by the end of the day. Every morning as she was on her way to school, yelling, saying they going to kill her. They hate her. They can't stand her. Had a little black doll in a coffin. Had a black doll with a noose around his neck. Did all kind of stuff to terrify a child. Grown people trying to terrify a child. And then we're going to see the situation where Ruby is now talking about how she finally got to be around one of these children and how this child is going to let her know why he can't play with her. And that's when it hit her. It's not his fault that he's acting his way towards me. His parents is teaching him this. So we don't call this out. We say he's got to get over it. What are you talking about? Let's look at this.
You know what I'm saying? For them, it's also skin deep. So because of that, they're also able to get over it a little bit faster, I feel.
I went in to sit down to play with them, but that is the day. Because a little boy looked at me and he said, I can't play with you. My mom said not to play with you because you're a And the minute he said that, I remember to this very day, it felt as if this weight lifted off my shoulders. All of a sudden, by him saying that, I knew why there were no kids there. And the truth is, even though he hurt my feelings, I was never angry with him. Because in my mind, I thought he was explaining to me why he couldn't play with me. He said, my mom said not to play with you. And I thought to myself, if my mom had said, Ruby, don't play with him. He's Asian. Don't play with him. He's Indian, he's Hispanic, he's white. If my mom had said not to play with him, I would not have played with him. So I wasn't angry with him. I understood.
And they don't have to be, so we had to be smart about that, about how we approach that, because...
So that's the whole thing, right? It's the parents. Here he's teaching his children how to deal with the racism. Those parents was not teaching their children not to be racist. They was not teaching their children not to look at him a certain way. Some of them could have came from homes of these Black Panther members that's in the state of Israel that say all the black people got to get out of here. They could have that notion being taught that at home. So now they see his child and treat his child a certain way, but he's teaching his child, oh, you got to just be able to overcome it. Right? That's crazy. That's crazy.
for our kids, they also, as fast as it comes, it goes by them also too. They, they'll harp on it. They'll have a tough time, and they'll tight you up. But our main thing was not getting them to look at everybody like that. Okay, you had a particular issue with this person, and that's it. And we build them up. We build them up. And
Now, I agree with her with that about not looking at everybody like that. It's kind of hard when you got a bunch of people treating you a certain way to not look at everybody in that way. So I do agree with her with that, where he says how he tells his kids not to look at everybody like that. So I can kind of agree with that. Like, okay, yeah, you don't want them to look at everybody like that, but you want them to be aware that people are out here that's like that, and how they maneuver with that. Not so much getting over it, but how they can deal with that, and just different stuff that we went through over here. So it's just crazy over there, just those different things, right? And I know some people might argue and say, "Oh, that's just a minute thing, and this, that, and the other." And maybe it's just a convert thing. No, it's really a racial and color thing, right? Because I'm going to show you a clip after his with Beta Yisrael, or the Ethiopian Jews, and how they were treated over there. They're treated with the same racism. Same racism. And I think Nissim and I was able to deal with it a little better because coming from America, you had to deal with that a lot, right? And you kind of go around it, or this, that, and the other. But so when you encounter it over there, it's like, huh? And you kind of this, that, and the other. But you bet to Israel, for them, they didn't have to go through that. So with them, it's kind of different. It's just like, wow, they really treating us like this? And it's just crazy. It really, really is crazy. Really, really is crazy. And we're going to get into that. So I'm trying to hurry up so we can get to that video next. So let me just go ahead and finish this out. But I want you to see how, again, the conversation is going to kind of shift now, because we're going to do this, and we're going to see the brother kind of shift them out of it, like, hey, well, what about this? And it's like, oh, yeah, let's switch back to that. So I cut all that out. I said, oh, nope, you switch it, nope. I want to stick with this, because I knew it was something else that he said after that. It was kind of heart-drenching, where he talks about crying over what was happening to his children. And I felt like this was a real moment, right? He's telling us how he was in tears. He loves the Torah and feel like he's amongst the people of the Torah, and yet his children is going through this. He's just crying before the Almighty about what his children are going through. So we're just going to get to that part.
strengthen them and let them know how beautiful they are. And they have friends, they have chaverim, they have people around them. So it's been one of those things that's just a lot of self-strengthening. We had to do that, especially with the girls. You have to get them. The hair is different than all the other girls. The physique is different than the rest of the.
See, the hair is different, right? Different texture hair. Their bodies are different. So he just going on about these different things that they just got to try to help them with, to let them know that as these people are saying these negative things about them, to let them know that no, you beautiful, no, you this, that. So I do like that part where he's reinforcing to his children that despite what these people are saying to you, your hair is beautiful, you are beautiful. I really appreciate how this brother put that in, because we need to be able to build our children up. Even here, need to be able to build them up for the stuff that they see and let them know that, hey, you are beautiful.
The girls, and so because of that, you have to strengthen them and give them
Got
their
to.
good points. It's the biggest thing. Even
Exactly.
as a breast lover, that's our biggest thing, is to emphasize on the children
Mm-hmm.
their good points.
Yeah.
Give them their good points. From that, then they could be able to grow, and they'll be able to go out and feel confident about themselves.
Yes.
You know, I was
agree with
having, you know, let me age my daughter. You know, it was very tough for her. It wasn't just, you know, in particular schools, it wasn't just the kids, it was also the teachers.
Think about it. Look at what he's saying. So again, the same thing that happened with Ruby Bridges. It wasn't just the students that treated us that way. Certain teachers, she only had one teacher that taught her. The other teacher said, I'm not teaching her. So the same situation. That's why, as he was saying it, the Ruby Bridges just popped in my mind. I'm like, wow. Like, as I heard this interview, I'm just like, wow. It's like he just tried to teach her that, you know, about her strong points, that you are beautiful, that your hair is beautiful, regardless of not only what children say, but what adults say. That should know better.
And people were treating her not nice. And I can't, you know, I don't want to go on air and talk about everything that we had to go through. But like to hear the stunning reviews that I'm getting today from her teachers and principals and whatever, they're girls, they're ranting about. And I'm looking at it saying, like, look at this, you know, we were strong and kept her and built her up, and now she's like, you know, loved and beloved, and it's an amazing thing. So you have to do, and at the time when you're going through the hard times, you're like, what's gonna be the future, what's gonna, you know. And I'm looking at it now, just like, look at this, Hashem turned everything around. So you have to strengthen them and give them their good points, and don't deviate from it, not at all. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree with
That's
that.
great.
You gotta get
Man,
them
that is great. That's
You gotta
great.
get them that good.
So speaking of breast love,
And when my daughter wasn't getting into school, I went to the kever, I went to the grave of the Arizal in Sfas, and I prayed. I did Hebrew to do 17 hours straight. 17, no breaks, no nothing. I talked to Hashem 17 hours straight, and I cried for my baby. You understand?
Powerful, right? Yeah, he's telling you, I cried for my baby. Think about that. Let's really just think about that. It just make you feel a certain way, right? Because you see this brother, he got such love for the Torah. So much so that he felt like I'm fountain people and I'm converting because I don't know any other way. Just like how the husband and wife, House of Lev, how LaDerryl and Danielle said that they were, right, where they were seeking and they didn't know who to talk to, and they found this stuff, and then they found their way into converting because they felt like this is what's calling me. This is what's calling me. And then you gotta deal with crap from people within different communities. Think about how hard that is, right? It's crazy. Really, really crazy.
So this is, and I'm saying like years later, but I'm saying even now, I still dying for my kids. But that's what I mean by. And some people, oh, pray about it, say kapitel tehillim. No, you have to live with Hashem on everything that we want, anything we want to accomplish in the world, anything that we need. Person has to come accustomed to talking to Hashem and spending time with Hashem. It's the solution for everything in life.
Amen. I do agree with him on that. Dealing with the Almighty, dealing with Yahweh, striving to keep His Torah and do the things having a relationship with Him does make a change, does make a difference. It really, really does. It really, really does. Now, before we close out, I just want to show y'all this footage and go through some of this as far as for the treatment of Beta Yisrael.
שוטר רוצח חייב להיות בפנים! שוטר רוצח חייב להיות בפנים! שוטר אלים כמה?
Solomon Teka, a 19-year-old Ethiopian Israeli, was shot and killed by a police officer last summer. In March, his family and supporters showed up at the officer's trial.
Now, don't that sound like what's happening over here? Same thing happening over there. Don't let them fool you with that and like, oh no, it's not racist over here, stuff like that. It's not. Hey, you got the same thing. This Ethiopian young man was killed by the police. And they on trial. And you see them looking defiant to the family as they cry out for justice the same way they do over here. Same thing. So it's crazy. The same thing they do to Israel over here, the same thing they do to Israel over there. Right? Same thing. Crazy, right? Now let's look further. I want y'all to think, oh, he's making it up. Oh no, it's not happening to Beta Yisrael. It's only you blacks. Right? Because they had me in a group saying that, oh, this is y'all. And act like they don't understand and know what's going on. No. Let's check out. This is Beta Yisrael. Oh, I got the footage, baby boy. Got the footage. Oh, you should already know by now. This might have been a drudgery week thus far. It might have been going through some things, but the show started late. But hey, got the footage. Got the footage.
The officer said the shooting was an accident after he fired at the ground. He
Accident.
faces a maximum of 3 years in prison.
3
החוק
years.
שלכם, אתם המצאתם את החוק מאסר עולם. זה החוק של רצח. אז איך 3 שנים?
בואו נגיד את כל הקורבנות של הנרצח, הם כולם ביחד.
אברהם גמקי! ניצח על ידי שוטר! סלומון זרפה! ניצח על ידי שוטר!
Look at this.
Teka's
This is
death wasn't the
exactly
first to
what's
rally
happening
the
to us over
Ethiopian Israeli
here.
community.
They crying out for all the black people that's
Over the
been
past
killed by
5
the
years,
police.
6 young
And hold
Ethiopian
on,
men have been
hold on.
killed by cops, according to a local advocacy group, leading to huge protests across the country. None of the officers were prosecuted until now.
See, same thing. Same thing that's happening over here is happening right over there. The same thing is happening to Israel over here. It's happening to Israel over there. But they don't want you to connect the dots and see that it's the same. This is coming from independent news sources. You don't see this on Fox. You don't see this on the regular news. This is happening in Israel right now. And because of independent news voices like Vice News, they bring this information out, right? But other than that, you would never know. You wouldn't even know anything like that is happening. You wouldn't know that every time we in the street protesting, and even when people say Black Lives Matter, you wouldn't know that in the state of Israel, the Ethiopian Jews were standing with us, holding up signs saying Black Lives Matter, holding up signs saying we with y'all. But they keep that hidden because they don't want you to connect. They want you to say something like, those people ain't me, I ain't them, and sound all stupid. When they going through the same things that we going through, right over there in the land, going through the same thing. But we supposed to be at odds with them and treat them, they from Africa, they ham. No, they us. Those people right there, Beta Yisrael, that's us. They kept the whole unit together. And we see them going through the same things that we going through over here. They're going through the same things over there. Same things. But they don't want you to know about it. They try to keep it secret. But hey, if I get a video with time, we can go into it, right? I just want you to see that. The same thing. Same thing is happening. Same thing. Now, you might go into it a little further. I only wanted to be on for an hour. I didn't want to be on for no hour and a half and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm about to probably just chop it up. But I just want you to see it's the same thing. Same thing that's happening. Right? And then I promised y'all that I was going to show you the thing about I promised y'all that I was going to show you the thing about the Black Panthers that's over there, right? And who these Black Panthers are that's over there. So let me do this. So I'm gonna click off of this because I might do another flick so we can actually see how Israel over there is going through the same thing Israel over here is going through. Matter of fact, I think that's gonna be the next one. Israel and both sides over here in Americas and in the state of Israel are going through the same things. And they don't want you to know. They don't want you to have this clue or this idea about this. They want to keep this and see, we just seen it. That wasn't in America. You heard them speaking. That's in Israel. That's Ethiopian Jews going through the same things that we going through, getting gunned down in the street by the police. With no justice happening for them. And they in the land. So it ain't even about, they over in the land and ain't no justice happening for them. By people who they believe was they just our brothers. But yet you over and they not treating you like a brother. You're not treating you like we together. Because like Nissim pointed out, when they see you, they see your skin color. Now, let's look at this. I really want to go to this, right? So I want to kind of paint this picture out. So let's do this, right? Hold on. Cause I really want to show y'all this stuff about the Black Panthers, right? Because I want y'all to see what it is. So I'm going to dial it up. State of Israel / Black Panthers. Now, this Wikipedia, but I'm actually go to the video so you can see, and I probably will bring that out more next week. So that's what I'm gonna bring out more next week. So I'm doing this on Wikipedia, and I hate using Wikipedia because everybody knows, oh, it's Wikipedia. We can't really trust Wikipedia, right? Because everybody says, oh, we can't really trust Wikipedia, and I agree with them. Because I learned in my undergrad, they know you can't really trust Wikipedia, right? But at the same time of learning and knowing that you can't trust them, it is certain things that you can get from them, but you just gotta fact check it. So we gonna fact check it, but let's look at this. The Black Panthers, in Hebrew, the Ha-Hathrim, Ha-Shokrim, were an Israeli protest movement of second-generation Jewish immigrants from North Africa and Middle East country. It was one of the first social. Oh no, this is the wrong ones. So let's see. This other ones I'm talking about. This is ones that was actually fighting for justice, right? Y'all might be like, I told you ain't know what you was talking about. Told you ain't know what you was talking about. Let's see. Oh man. There you go. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm sorry. I should have been more prepared for that before I jumped on it. Let's go back into this thing and see what they're saying. All right. So this is from Wikipedia. All right. So it says Israeli, North African, and Middle Eastern countries. One of the first organizations in Israel with the mission of working for social justice. The Sephardi and Mizrahi Jews joint inspiration and borrowed from the African American organization Black Panthers. It is also sometimes referred to as Israeli Black Panthers to distinguish them from the original American group. So, I hate using Wikipedia. It's one of those things you gotta be prepared for. All right, we're gonna get into this. Let me see. Um, let me see. Hold on, because I want to show y'all what I seen with the videos. Nah, no, they didn't clear this up. Hold on. That's what happens. That's why I try to have everything together so that. Let's see. Hold on. Now I'm determined. Now that it look like they try to wash the internet, so they took down different videos. I say now I'm determined to find it now. I'm determined, boy. I am determined. I am like, no, y'all will not, because I know what I saw. Exactly what I saw. And normally it just will pop up. So I'm so blown right now that this is not popping up and some other narrative is being spoken of that normally did not pop up. It's really blowing me right now. Oh. I know I'm wasting a lot of time. I'm sorry, guys. That's how I feel. I get it. It's like I'm determined now. Maybe this is it, right? Let me see. Let's see. This might
העולים
be it.
במוסררה לצד שטח ההפקר חשו שהם גרים בגטו.
פשוט כשמדברים על לימודים זה דבר הכי מצחיק, כי לא היו לימודים בשכונת מסוים, לא היו בתי ספר. השכונה הייתה מבודדת כלפי חוץ, ולא היה לנו מגע עם האנשים החיצוניים, זה אני מתכוון כאן, במרחק של 200 מטר מכאן רחוב יפו.
No, that's not it. All right, so that's what I'll make my next video on. All right. So that's what I'll make my next video on, because I hate being in a position where it looked like I didn't know what I was talking about. So now I'm gonna focus on that. So I'm gonna point back again to what happened with the black Jews, the Ethiopian Jews, or Hebrews that's in the land, and also with those of us that's over here, the West African Jews or Hebrews is here, and how we all going through the same thing as far as what we're going through with our treatment from law enforcement and other things. So I got that video, and I'm going to also find more about the Black Panther Party that was over there, because unlike what was said in that article written by Wikipedia, they weren't fighting for justice of the black Africans stuff that was over there and all that. It was videos where they was busting black people in heads. This one guy was filming them, and they said, "What is he, stupid? He don't realize that we on to him." And then they came to jump him, and it was so much stuff that happens. And what I feel as though this is lets you know that a lot of times when you see certain things on the internet, you got to get it right then and there, because when people go to whitewash it and wash it away, if you can't find it, it's just your word against no proof. You have no proof, so it's just your word. And I don't want y'all to feel like, oh, you gotta believe me, you gotta believe me. No, I want to show you. That's what my show is about. I want to show you. So this week I'm going to look more into the Black Panthers, the Israeli Black Panthers group. I'm going to bring out more about that. I'm going to talk about the treatment of Beta Yisrael over there, and even the black people who came from America, right? The West African Jews who came from America with Ben Ami that came over there. I'm going to deal with their treatment and stuff over there. Over there as well. But I'm going to highlight it with what I found about the one movement, because if it did begin in that way where it seemed like it was a group of social justice, that's not how it ended up with what I saw on the internet. What I saw on the internet, it was not about no social justice. It was like, we gotta get these Africans, we gotta get these black people out of our country. And they meant it. So I'm gonna find that video and post it. My apologies for wasting our time for that few minutes, but I realize I don't want to waste too much of your time. So I'm gonna find that video and post it. But in the meanwhile, hopefully you enjoyed what we went through tonight, and really got into it. Kind of gave y'all a taste of where we was going to go. We was talking about Beta Yisrael and what's happening. Kind of gave y'all a taste about where we want to go next week, and we're going to go there. So appreciate all of you for logging on and hanging in there. My apologies again for being late. Next week, we want to try to make sure that we aren't late and that everything goes the way it wants to go. So for right now, I want to thank you again for joining us on with another episode of My Take. So I just want to thank you again for joining us for another episode of My Take with Rosh Ya'acob, Abraham, and that's me, Rosh Ya'acob. Shalom.